well. So yesterday, we read a statement that Arocha put out on the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission and the trees they were cutting. The commission has responded. I'm going to get Caleb and Francisca to read their response to me shortly, because one of the things our platform is that it must provide the chance for people to get a fair hearing. Francisca, do you have the response
from the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission?
Yes. What are they saying this morning?
So they have a news release that's dated 21st May 2025 to all media houses. It's headlined, Ghana Atomic Energy Commission felled trees to protect lives and properties. The Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, GAEC, has taken notice of a press statement dated 20th May 2025 and issued by Arocha Ghana on the felling of some trees along the Atomic Kwabenya Road by GAEC. We acknowledge the concerns raised by Arocha Ghana and share in the commitment of well-meaning institutions to sustainable urban development. However, the facts of the matter must be made clear to clarify some misconceptions in their press statement and to better inform the public. 1. Some of the trees planted along the Atomic Kwabenya Main Road have been in existence for more than 50 years. Furthermore, erosion over the period has greatly exposed the roots of some of the trees, rendering them weak. Some have also grown very huge branches, interfering with the Electricity Company of Ghana's pylons and cables located in the area. 2. Last year, 2024, we witnessed the uprooting and falling of some of the trees and branches occasioned by strong winds, storms, and heavy rains. A few of the uprooted trees landed on the highway, causing various degrees of damage to vehicles that ply the road and unduly disrupting the commute of the motoring public. Additionally, the uprooted trees left deep gullies on the sides of some portions of the road stretch, posing danger to vehicles and other road users. 3. Due to this, a stakeholder meeting was held in June last year to address the risks associated with the aged and weak trees. The meeting's participants included the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, National Disaster Management Organization, Ghana East Municipal Assembly, Electricity Company of Ghana, Forestry Commission, and the Ghana Police Service. The engagement's outcome was a collaboration between GAEC and all relevant agencies and institutions to fell only the trees that were marked as hazardous and dangerous after a thorough audit jointly conducted by GAEC and the Forestry Commission. Subsequently, GAEC was granted permission by the Forestry Commission to fell 8 mahogany trees, 6 Lucana, Caleb, is that correct? Lucana trees, and prune 43 mahogany trees under very strict conditions and guidelines provided by the Forestry Commission. 5. Through collaborations with all relevant stakeholders, this exercise was conducted on the 20th of May 2025, funded by the ECG. It is important to note that all felled or uprooted trees will be replaced with new ones as directed by the Forestry Commission. And there's on the second page. On the second page, there's a headline that says Ghana Atomic Energy Commission felled trees to protect lives and property. So continuing with the paragraphs, the public should remain confident that GAEC will not sanction any indiscriminate felling of trees now or in the future within its catchment area, considering that it is part of our mandate to protect the environment using the peaceful application of nuclear science and technology. GAEC remains a strong advocate for environmental protection and climate initiatives like tree planting, and has actively participated in the Green Ghana initiatives over the past several years and grown some hundreds of trees that were provided by the Forestry Commission. Finally, it says, we will continue to engage stakeholders and institutions like Arocha Ghana to foster collaborative ways of greening the GAEC enclave and maintaining its green cover. This is signed Anthony Nana Boating, Director of Commercialization and Communications Directorate.
I like the statement. It's thorough. The tone is right. It gives the background and it puts the matters in perspective.
Bernard, so what's going to happen to the felled trees? How will they be disposed? No, it has value.
Call him
So
and put him on the line.
will
I am even
will it be
interested beyond
sold?
that in their lands that people were taking.
Exactly.
So we can deal with that
The
if you have them.
encroachment also is an
So,
important
but
question.
what I'm trying to say before you get into the question is,
Yeah.
sometimes state agencies don't respond in time and they don't give the right context. But I think it's a very well written statement.
Yeah.
It's giving you the background, the history, the meetings held, those involved. And then it's, to be fair, I've even told there were alternative routes planned for the tree felling. They didn't even mention it here. So I'm just saying that if you are a government agency listening, get a copy of the GAEC statement because it helps. This is how it should be done. Everything should not be PR and trying to manage things. Just tell the truth and let us move on with our lives. So this is very correct.
Yeah.
And I like the transparency as well. So even though Arocha's statement was not necessarily fair to them, because probably Arocha could have checked, but Arocha too, because they are environmental advocates, they were alarmed, right? So they didn't attack Arocha.
Yeah.
You get it? They basically said, well, we've been thinking about this for the past 6 months. It's not something we just got up and did.
Right.
Everybody was involved. We went through the right process. And I like that.
And they also make you know how many trees they felled,
telling
how
you.
many they are pruning,
Yeah.
and the damage that
Yeah.
previous trees have caused over the period.
You used to use that
They
road in
let
the past. You know that area very well.
Yes.
But added to that, I mean, beyond what you have said, was there some level of community engagement? Because some of these things would have been, better approached if, for instance, in the process of consulting the Forestry Commission, which is the institution in the space of forestry and related matters. Perhaps if there was some community engagement, then there would have been better sensitization of the public as to what was to be done. Then maybe some inputs would have come in here and then from the public.
But if you listen to
whether
the
they feel-
names of the people they mentioned there as having consulted, that
Those are institutions.
yeah, those
yeah,
are
but those institutions, for example, if you deal with the Ga East District Assembly,
yeah, but
the assembly is in charge of that space,
that is true.
and that
They are
road is a
stakeholders.
thoroughfare for many people.
They are stakeholders at the institutional level. My concern is that perhaps
Community level
exactly.
engagement.
Yeah, maybe they would have brought on board.
So maybe the assembly, in this program of activities at one of its meetings, could have said on the agenda, pruning and cutting of trees on this road, and then use that mechanism of the assembly meeting to inform the community.
Exactly.
So I'm trying to say that the institution itself did the right thing by contacting the assembly. I'm not sure if they had to then now go around and talk to all the community members themselves.
Because they are directly affected, while the assembly route or route would have been useful, because they are directly the people affected by the trees, and they are also interfacing with the community. Perhaps it would have been useful as part of the community relation strategy that they normally deploy in that space.
To engage them.
Exactly, because if they were coming to do something directly related to, say, atomic energy, for instance, they would have said, let's call the community people.
I'm not inclined to believe that they didn't consult the public. I'm saying this because even yesterday, some of the messages that came through were making reference
Community
to
members were yes.
the damage to their
Yeah.
vehicles and the danger it posed. And so I kind of feel that this action by GAEC itself
Was in
to
response-
help solve
yeah.
a part of a problem that affected the community. And I'm sure they would have had concerns
Yeah.
from the directly from the community themselves.
Yeah.
For me, from a communicative point of view, I wish that they had put out a statement prior to
Correct.
the felling of the trees and bringing out these facts so that people like Arocha
Would
will
have
rest
known.
assured that yes, this is not something they're just getting up and doing.
But how did they? We got to know because
We got
there
to
was
know.
news, right?
I think
And
there
so
was
they
some
spoke about it
communication.
at a certain
No. So there was a statement.
There was a statement
by the I think was it Urban Roads? No, there was some statement.
There was
There
some
was a
statement.
statement
Yes,
you
that
read.
was how we
There was
became
news
aware
about
of
it,
it.
yes.
Yes, there was some
There was.
statement.
But was there
But
a
it-
statement by the at GAEC themselves?
just a second.
Would
There was a
seem
statement,
more-
a short statement talking about the. I don't know what it was.
Intended
It was-
pruning and
I was
felling.
actually speaking to commuters to bear with them because such and such was
I wanted
going
to check
happen
who sent it. If you
around
check the
what
platform,
time.
you see
Yeah.
it there. Anyway, so if we can't get guys to talk to us, at least they've sent out their statement. I think that's fine. And this is the way to go. I think Sky's point is also valid that you need to engage the community further. Look, I'm dealing with a number of cases where, when we discussed the flooding at Lakeside, the estate wrote a press statement saying that the reason parts of that area got flooded was that a filling station had been built too close to a drain, and the way the filling station had been built, it had sort of caused water to overrun the drain, leading to a flood, overrun the bridge. Now, the Lakeside people said they had written to the MPA complaining about the siting of the filling station, but somehow the filling station is still there. Right, so there's a statement they sent. Now, this is the way I see it. A lot of times, business interests override community interests. Whether it's a tomato factory you dealt with, a cement factory somewhere in Western Accra, or a filling station. Indeed, I'm doing another case where a community has a filling station, an estate has a filling station being contemplated right in front of it. Now, the process for siting a filling station necessarily means you have to involve the community and engage them. Typically, the MPA would ask you, have you finished your due diligence with the community? For some reason, they will say they have. And sometimes they will have the permit of the assembly. So the assemblies tend to, so I think I take your point. Assemblies tend to assume that the communities have agreed because we assembly has agreed. So in this particular case I'm talking about, somebody wants to put a filling station in front of an estate. The estate people say no, it's too close to where we live, to devalue our properties, it's dangerous. Somehow the assembly seems to want to push this through.
Yeah.
So now the estate has written to the MPA, and the MPA wants to now know whether the community has been involved. Somehow they will say, oh, we've involved the community, want to meet them. They may do some meeting, and then before you know, they say we met them, whether they agreed or not, you know. And I think all of this is because of our lack of zoning. You know, there are things you fail to do which cause problems many, many years after you are dead. All right. So this issue of flooding is really a question of lack of proper zoning and planning. You know, why should residential facilities have a tomato factory next to them? Why should residential facilities, a salt processing plant, have a cement plant next to it in a place where people live? Why should somebody set up a filling station in front of an estate? You get it? It's because we haven't done the zoning. And people are monetizing and cashing in on our lack of planning. So now somebody comes and says, I'm selling service plots. Now, I'm not attacking your business model, but in serious countries, every plot must be serviced. Do you understand? But in our Ghana, the fact that somebody has even weeded the place and put something like a road there, he's going to charge you 10 times the price because it's a service plot. Now, so you see, the cost of this is the thing about planning. We don't plan because we don't think that it is important. Yet we pay for the cost of lack of planning in multiples. People die, we lose money. You get it? But because it's not asking you to give me 10,000 cedis, you think that, oh, let me deal with customs, let me deal with issues of tax. Lack of planning is more expensive than any tax the government can pay. The number of times you have to pay for a land that you have to build a house, the number of times you have to redo your gutters because somebody has built a building in a waterway, the number of times you have to move your house. So, and this is not just your personal cost, it's a collective cost. So I think that maybe the engineering community needs to get a different language to communicate the need for planning. Because it sounds so esoteric, it sounds so far. All right? So like, let's put it very simply. Caleb, you are a young man. Maybe you want to buy a land to build a house because you feel like by the time you are 40, 45, you don't want to be renting a house. So you go and buy a land. Chances are that one or two things that the person selling the land to you has not done would give you 30 years of sleepless nights.
True.
So you may buy a land, pay a good price for it, and then start building your house. You may not be able to sleep for the rest of your life because there are 3 churches behind your house. You didn't know.
First of all, that's if you are finished with the litigation over the
Good.
land.
So the land may belong to 6 people. When you are doing, you pay digging fee. All of that. When you start, you finish the building and you want to live in it, somebody will come and cite something, or somebody will redirect from gutter, or somebody come and build an estate behind your house, and then he will direct the course of a
All
water.
the sewer into
You get it?
your house.
So for me, one of the reasons that I'm not too hopeful is that I don't think assemblies have been set up to do what we expect them to do. I think the people who run the assemblies mean well. So if you look at this week, Koforidua, he's doing something. Accra, he's doing something. Tema. So you can see that they want to work. So it's not like the people go there that they are going to do bad things. So the problem is, I don't even think the people are not competent. I think they are okay. But the institution has not been set up with the practice and the culture of excellence and service delivery. Do you get it? So let's assume you are going to, let me give a very good example. I have a friend who's building a project. It's not in Accra. It's in one of the regions. So this guy goes, that he's building maybe what is he been building? Like maybe some chalets or resort or whatever. He goes to get a permit. He goes to the district assembly. This is a rural district assembly. He goes and says, "Oh, we'll give you the permit." So he shows them their plan, everything. They go back and forth and they say it's good, you can build. Then they say, "Okay, this is the amount you have to pay." So he says, "Okay, I'm going to pay." He goes to the place. So maybe they say you are paying 20,000 as an example. He goes to pay 20K. Then they say, "Okay, there's 20K, but we'll give you receipt for 4K." Then it's like, why is the receipt for 4K? So, no, don't worry. You've paid your 20K, so don't worry. This is the receipt for the 4K, but you won't worry you again. Now, think about that for a minute. He's paid 20K, he's been given a receipt for 4K. And you're like, don't worry, we have given you the go ahead, build the house. Now he has to make a choice. Can he say, I'm not going to build this because I've paid 20K and I've given a receipt for 4K? The assembly says the 20K is the charge, but the receipt is for 4K. Which means that the 16,000 is going to go to people to sort their things out and things. Now that is the type of system that a lot of the assemblies run. So basically, they don't see a future in doing their work thoroughly and making sure that things work. They have a short-term view of Charlie. Richard Sky has a lot of money. He wants to build a project. If I get some 15K from him as an extra to cream it off him, I can also start my project in Kasua. So that's how he thinks. So there's DC may come. Hey, we'll do this, we'll do this. In a year's time, they compromise him because some of the money that he will be getting, he will not know where it's coming from. They'll do him. Do you know what I'm saying? So he's come with initial gra. We will clean. Hey, we'll do yo. Meanwhile, some Mr. Kwe has been there for like 25 years. And Mr. Kwe, he's a master of gaming the system. So they'll say, "Oh, anything, Mr. Kwe, he has the key." So by the time this MCE settles, Mr. Kwe and his cabal have already damaged the system. You get it? So I don't have hope that. So I like the way the president said, "Okay, I'm going to rate you on cleanliness." I think he should broaden it a bit more. He can say, "Look, I'm appointing you this week, yeah? Next year by this time, these are the 4 things I want to see. If your assembly is not clean, I'll sack you. Number 2, if I hear any allegation of corruption, I'll let you stand aside and I'll investigate you." Do you get me? Let them know that you mean beyond the appointment and you're a party person. There are some things I want to see. If your markets are chaotic, you are going. You get it? As an example. So you can give them 4 or 5 hard, and this one is not the minister, the president must do it. And that he himself will do the inspection. Because you see, the system in the assemblies is not built to deliver the planning we want. Do you understand? So you go and buy a land and you pay so much. And the other thing is that to get what every reasonable citizen gets in civilized societies, in Ghana you have to pay 10 times to get it. Whether it's a good education, reliable transportation, or a safe environment. You have to pay so much because lack of planning and lack of enforcement makes the cost of everything more. Do you see my point? So I think the president needs to go beyond the cleanliness charge because a lot of the assemblies are enclaves of graft.
But that is not a given the launch of the code of conduct for public officials or political appointments.
He needs to make some quick examples early. Because the way I see it here, Sky, we are all leaders. The culture of my team affects me. I am here, City Breakfast Show. If every day I come and I'm doing something and the people start looking at me some way, and it's like, Aloski, every time you are rocking the boat, nobody wants to be an anathema. So he will compromise so that the team will have peace. So sometimes you can have a very solid AMA mayor, Charlie, cleanliness, red line, hey. The system around him, it survives on the basis of exploiting citizens and collecting bribes. As an example, I'm not saying AMA necessarily. I'm giving an example. So I think that there has to be some, I don't know whether it's somebody, some macho man to come and change the institution, or but there has to be some, like, the institution is not built to deliver excellence. I mean, in this example I'm giving, this person so he has to pay the 20K and start his project, and the receipt is 4,000, and he's not the only person, no. So maybe they'll do it to 6 people.
Were there external services that were contracted?
They say the cost is 20,000. He has paid. He should start work. They give him a receipt for 4,000, and they say that one he should just do his project. It's not his business.
So the question I'm asking is whether within the assembly system,
Yeah.
what they ought to have charged would have been 4,000, and maybe they contracted external contractors to come and perform some of the, I don't know.
So they told him that there
has to be some clarity.
The thing cost 20,000.
So
So he found the 20,000 and went to pay.
There are some issues.
They collected the 20,000, and they said, "This is your receipt. You go and do your project. We've given you the permit. Go and build. We don't. It's not your concern." Now, is he going to say, "I'm going to fight the system"? In Ghana, those who fight the system don't. You see, this is the other thing. People have to make a choice. Francisca, you have money. You have to start a project. Are you going to say, "Let me fight the assembly"?
No, you see, but
It's too much. So maybe the president can set up something so that if this person goes to pay 20,000 and he's given a receipt for 4,000, he can quietly go and chook.
Yeah, you see,
and then they'll investigate and then sack the people.
So you see, that is what electronic trails help to deal with. So for instance, when we keep talking about how to modernize the system, digitalization, imagine, for instance, if the application for the permit you're talking about is online, and the requirement is that you make all payments online, and the payments are predetermined. So you go on there, Google maybe Clotte calling. You want a permit to build in, say, a particular area. The system would ask you all the relevant questions. Who is the owner of the property? Blah, 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 blah. You fill in all of those details. What are you building? The system would ask you to input whatever plan there is for the place. You put all that information in. Then it raises for you the necessary invoice that this is the amount you paid. So 4,000 Ghana cedis, right? The human being there, the human factor is removed. So that you are dealing with the machine. You make the application.
So technology could be one way. Here's another example. This person is writing from Adenta. He said, when I look at someone filling our lake to build, we've made separate complaints to the Adenta Municipal Assembly. No action. Sky, look at this video. Look at this picture. This is a lake.
Yeah.
This is water body.
That's wrong.
With reeds and bulrush or whatever they call it. A building is coming close to it, and this person says they've spoken to the assembly. Assembly hasn't done anything.
That's wrong. You see,
And this is happening all over.
the place.
Ramsar site, places near Kweshi, places in Sakumo. So, so I feel like it's a circus. You bring in well-meaning people to run the assembly. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we should come up because Kai, you and I know that if the assemblies don't work, Ghana cannot work.
That's true.
Because no matter what the president says, if you are going to build a house, you need to deal with an assembly.
Yeah.
And the president cannot come there to collect the license for you. So the development rubber meets the road at the assembly level, which is why I suggested that the president should put his best people there and say that I have a 4-year of reform. I'm going to put my best minds, not as ministers. Go back to your assembly and run the place bottom up. Because a minister can be doing a great job at the top, dealing with macro problems. The assembly is the reality of your people. Go to the Kaswa enclave. I've always said, the further you move away from the center of Accra, the less straight the lines.
So,
See, I went to the Volta region and I was coming back. There was traffic. So we had to pass behind Central University to do some lungus. There, Charlie, bro, no straight road. So like how? How do people build houses? It's not like, there's some fundamental issue. Like, it's almost like people just go and buy the land and start building a house. You get it? So you build yours. If you come early, you do 80 by 100. If you come late, somebody will take your 60.
Yeah.
No. So so there's no law. So if I move to the area first, I'll do 80 by 120 and start. Sky comes, it does 80 by 100. By the time Caleb comes, it's only 60 by 70. You get it?
Bernard,
So you see,
Somebody
so-
will build a house at the end of the road, so
Yeah.
you can't even go.
Yeah.
When you go to the assembly, they can't demolish. Somebody has money, he wants to build a fuel station or filling station, so he starts building. He's giving money to somebody in the assembly. Assembly giving permit. EPA cannot do. Like, why?
So you see, if proper planning is put in place, then some of these problems we'll not talk about. Because, for instance, if you have, say, 100 acres of land in Gawen's Municipal Assembly, the assembly is aware that, okay, over the next 10 years, we expect to have private developers or we ourselves
Yeah.
develop about 50% of that.
Yeah.
Then they plan through internally generated fund and whatever support they are getting from the central bank to invest in that space to service the land. So roads are put in there, electricity is sent in there, water is sent in there, and all the needed, what do you call it, essentials are put
That's
in.
the Apollonia model.
That is the proper
But do
way.
you know the cost? So you see, when government fails to do what it ought to do, the cost of basic public service becomes too expensive. So that 5.7 kilometer road Apollonia is doing, the service plus they are building, which is why they are doing aggressive marketing. Because ordinary, hard-working Ghanaians, and by the way, no genuine salary paid Ghanaian
Can afford that.
can afford a basic mortgage when you do the calculation properly.
Yeah.
Yet people are buying houses. That's why lots of people are building. So now a private company has bought land. It has developed it. Now it has to build a 5.7 kilometer road. Meanwhile, this company has already developed the land though. But the Apollonia to Oyibi to Atadeka land road is so bad that it's affecting the quality of the investment. Okay. Now the assembly should be able to say, I don't know whether it's the chieftaincy ownership of land that has caused our problem or political, like there's some
Land
fundamental,
tenure.
because
Land tenure.
look, I was telling you, I have a friend who has a shop in an African country. So I'll give a very basic example. Maybe the shop sells paper and they want to add photocopy machine to the paper, his own shop that he's rented. So he just wants them to redesign the inside of the shop to accommodate the photocopy machine. And for like 3 weeks, he's not been able to do it. When he calls it, he says, I'm still waiting for the permit to allow me to do the change in the design of my shop. So that tells you that in that country, you can't do anything you like. You can. And it's an African country.
Because there's a capacity to supervise.
In Ghana, somebody is building a filling station in front of an estate. And the assembly is watching on and says, go ahead and build. They haven't spoken to anybody in the community. In another place, the community has gone to tell the assembly that we are a community of people at Lakeside. And we are saying that this filling station is wrongly cited. And you can see that when it rains, the thing is going on. Then when it rains, the assembly will come and tell us that we'll demolish houses on building. It's like we are mad. It's like you are watching a guy build a thing for 6 months.
Capacity.
Scarlett mentioned some place. When you go to East Legon, Boundary Road, there's a bridge they've done that connects you from East Legon to Ajingano.
yes, the dam.
Sky. There's called Abedipele Pool.
Yes.
That place is supposed to be a place where nobody touches.
Wetland.
Every 6 months, you see somebody's filling the thing quick. No, they are building. Then they'll come and write, remove. When you keep quiet, they start building. They'll build. They'll keep quiet and build.
Sometimes they themselves write the
One day, there will be a rain for 6 hours. Water from the whole of Adenta and Ajingano will come to Pele's Pool. It will overflow its banks. What will it do? It will break the bridge. 3 cars will get money. Then the president will come there and everybody will be crying. You see, so I'm saying that the cost of planning and enforcement, I think it should be criminalized by very, very strict sanctions. If you have a long-term view of life, you will know that those who fail to enforce regulations are destroying the society. You get it? But somehow we've normalized it. So I feel like this generation is, how do I put it? We have become desensitized to the lawlessness. We ourselves have become agents of lawlessness. So on one hand, we cry for development, yet in our actions and what we do, we are undermining our own future. There's no way you are going to put a development model on this kind of craziness. You get it? So, and we are in a reset agenda. There's a new government. The assemblies, I don't know whether we have to change the composition or whether we have to find a new way of finding out, because it's just, if I open the phone line and ask people to tell me they are
Messages are flooding in.
they are challenging their assemblies.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Bernard,
You
the
know,
impact of all
without
that
holding
is-
brief for the assemblies, there's also the Land Use and Spatial Planning Authority.
Which is
That's
also in the
supposed to
assembly.
exactly. They are supposed to work with the assemblies. They are supposed to supervise the kind of planning that is going on. And so while we have these recurring conversations about the effects of rapid urbanization, it like you say, it's crazy. And I'm wondering why somebody justifies their job at LUSPA, for instance, and the assembly.
But so it's one thing having the institution. It's another thing having qualified people within the space. It's another thing altogether providing them with the tools and resources they need to move into the space. You see, one of the biggest problems we have is the lack of self-sufficiency on the part of the assemblies. Because elsewhere, councils go out aggressively. When I was in London, for instance, Charlie, the people came to serve me notice that you have not paid your council tax. But meanwhile, I'm a student, so ideally, I was not qualified
will
to be
chase
paid.
you,
They served me notice to appear in court. So I had to probably use my first skills as a newly trained lawyer to deal with that particular problem. You understand? Because I was not qualified to pay. If we had that system, good to know that recently we saw a number of young men in the street saying that they were going about collecting property rates and all of that. If assemblies are properly directed to do that, and they are doing it, then they raise enough revenue to support their own initiatives. Because if you have loose bar in the office, the people are being paid from the center or even at the local level. They don't have any money to go out there and supervise what is happening in the field. Nothing will happen.
And Sky, let me also say that the nature of politics we do doesn't help, because in our politics, power is concentrated at the top. And I'll give you an example. So usually when I go for these events, maybe a minister comes to launch a program. Then you see the MC, the DC around. Sometimes they'll give them some chair at the back, and then they'll make them greet, and they want to be in the pictures because they don't feel they have enough power. So the minister is the powerful guy. So the DC or MC is like a second-rate public official. Meanwhile, if you are even running a multi-million-dollar company, the MC and the assembly is your boss. You get it? They have inherent power, but for some reason, and so for example, you're interviewing somebody, everything, Excellency, the president. The president cannot be anywhere. The president can't do anything. Do you understand? He can set the, but like the people face government at the local level, and that local level, we have disempowered the assembly. Some of them are so corrupt. When they take their payment, they'll say, oh, if anybody tells you that you haven't paid, just call me. That's what they say.
That be?
So Bernard,
That's wrong. You should have certificate or receipt. Go on.
Bernard, please, earlier you made a point about the encroachment at the atomic area, and then that's led to this. And I just wanted to give you a picture I'm looking at here. Just go into Google Earth and key in GAEC, and then just open it up. You check a 3D image, and you see that from the shore all the way to Ebri, the greenery has shrunk. The only green areas you will see where University of Ghana is, this area, and then the atomic area, and the GAEC area, and you notice that GAEC, the greenery at GAEC is also shrinking by the minute. If you open that up, you look around the Sakuma and Ramsar site, you see that it's also becoming very, very urbanized, so that for an area that should be a wetland, it's all gone. If you check Pambros, there's a lot of encroachment happening around Pambros as well. Now, on the conversation we are having, it's also causing it's also part of the causes reasons we are seeing a lot of flooding in a city. For example, in 3 days ago, I was actually talking to my professor at the geography department, and he was talking about the fact that the main cause of flooding we are experiencing in Accra is as a result of the scrapping of the vegetation on the Ekuapim range. He says, because I'm bringing this in because of the zoning issue you brought up. In 2006, all that site was known as a green belt. It was a green belt protected zone and all of that, until a parcel of the land was appropriated for someone very important. Now, after that was done, we did not rezone it properly. So once a parcel of the land has been chopped off and someone has built his mansion there, it became very attractive and people were moving there. I'm told that much earlier in the 90s, if you're driving up Debris Hills, you would see monkeys along the road and all of that. So in terms of wildlife, we have depleted all of that because we are now putting up a lot of buildings. Now, because it's a hill, whenever it rains,
the runoff water comes down.
Vegetation is gone. So it comes with a lot of force, a lot of power. And that, if you take that away, and his second reason is, okay, so let me just finish building that point. So there's a lot of silt that is pushed down the hill. So Yarifa, Pantaya, Denta, all these places are going to flood. And then also you've had the district assemblies, the local assemblies balkanized. So if Adenta is constructing drains, for example, and they are using culverts that are 6x6, the next one
is doing something else.
is doing 4x2, Adenta is doing 1x1. So there is no coordination in terms of the infrastructure also. So environmentally, you've sat down for people to deplete the greenery that would have protected the soil and ensure that runoff has been reduced. Now the assemblies also are not working in coordination. So it's a messy situation we have.
Let's take some quick reactions to this as we bring the matter to a close. We are not just lamenting, we are basically saying if we want to see change, attitudes have to change, people have to take responsibility, and our local governments must work. This is a good opportunity, there's a reset agenda, and therefore we must see it. DCEs must be, I think, and MCs must be brought back to the center. And I want to urge the local government coordinating thing. What's the name of that thing?
The regional coordinator.
The interministerial.
Oh, okay. The team at the presidential office. And
I think that thing is very, very important. We need to spend some time talking about it there. So this is an organization which brings about 5 ministries together to coordinate local governance at the very highest level. It's supposed to actually be chaired by the president. All right. So I think finance ministry, because local governance involves what they call devolution of power. So there's fiscal decentralization and other. So basically, the concentration of power at the top must be devolved to the local level to allow the same level of alacrity and the same level of agency to be applied. And I feel like that organization has a role to play in helping devolve that power. Whether the center wants to actually devolve that power is a different issue. But there's no way we are going to develop and have a good country if our local governance remains at the level that it is. Where, and this Lakeside case study, I'm telling you, people who live there tell you that this flooding was because you can clearly see that this filling station is not supposed to be there. Because it's diverted water, and when it rains, the bridge can't carry cars. Yet because of somebody's investment, they've kept quiet.
Let me ask a question, Bernard. The institution you were talking about is the Inter-Ministerial Coordinating Committee.
Thank you.
Yeah, they are inviting position papers on things we are talking about here. You see, when you want to build a filling station, you don't just go out there and say you want to build a filling station, right? There are processes you must go through. First of all, you must secure the land. The land must be in an area that is designated by the assembly to host something like that. So for instance, if the assembly says that this place is exclusively a residential area and we do not want things like that there, there's no way you can raise the land in the area and use it for the purpose. So when you have your plan, you must take it first of all to the assembly and make sure that the assembly signs off on it. And the assembly must also, the institutions must speak to each other. For instance, the NPA, what was their role at the time they were giving the guy the permit to go ahead? Did they speak to the assembly to know whether there is that agreement by the assembly that it is okay
you have to show certain things to NPA before they give you their thing?
Exactly. You understand?
So usually NPA will tell them to wait. When they see agitation, NPA will say they should hold on and engage the community. That's usually what they say.
Exactly. So if all the institutions are speaking to each other, then we will not have the problems that we do
this
have.
Will include the EPA as well.
Exactly. The EPA too
So
would have
EPA,
the planning, what the LUSPA people we have spoken about at the district assembly level, they also get
there
involved.
are so many authorities, but nothing.
Exactly. So,
everybody is now an authority. EPA, MPA, GSA, AAA. Meanwhile, nothing for them.
That is what should happen. And you see, the requirement is that engage with the people. So you go to the community. hold a what do you call it? A meeting with the community people that look.
Yeah.
We intend to bring this filling station to the area. It would help in A, B, C, D way, job creation and all of these things. We intend to seek authorization from the NPA and the related institutions. How do you feel we should modify what we intend to do to suit the interests of the community? We don't do that majority of the time.
No.
You sit down before you know it. Recently,
Because the person is giving you 100,000 charge by receipt for 4,000. So
That-
that's the
that
thing.
one we
That-
have-
but that
we
is
have
so
to
Sky.
investigate.
How can an entity
Which-
like
which this
how
is-
can an entity like that? It cuts across.
Yeah,
how can
someone is just
how can
confirming.
an entity like that have the moral right to come and tell you not to set up a building here? Because if you've paid a guy 100,000 and give him a receipt for 20,000, you obviously control him.
that's wrong.
You see, so I'm saying that we should start looking at corruption from a point of view of the wickedness of what it means for the enforcer. It's a wicked thing they do. So corruption and lawlessness, I think, is not just people shouldn't play the victim. We are being lenient with people who do such things. It's a very serious situation. Let's read a few comments as we wrap this up.
So
on this.
Kwame Dan is into the real estate business. He sends this message and says, Ojam Aloski is right. We paid over 45,000 for a residential building permit to one assembly, but only received a 20K receipt.
Pervasive.
I've been
Pervasive.
chasing the correct receipt for a year now.
So this is
Kwame Dan.
what is happening in most assemblies.
External contractors.
They are just looking for ways of getting money that they don't deserve.
Sad.
Read more.
Okay, so Evans Kwe from Oyarifa says, "Hey Bernard, when you said Mr. Kwe, no, everyone in my office turned and stared at me as if I've been collecting money from
I hope he's not in an assembly. Their name is very random. Forgive me. Very random.
I've said Osimesi. Hello, Bernard. All you said about the assemblies is the reality. It's sad how the planning officers create the mess themselves and make hundreds of money from that. What your friend told you is exactly what happens everywhere. If you join the assembly system with a good heart, you will leave corrupt. The appointee will start well, but the technocrats will lead him or her into temptation. We must digitize and digitalize the system. Tell him that this is what happens here. Oh, it's sad. This is Rex listening from Thailand. Good morning, good morning, City team, Bernard and team. I think we should also look at the district assembly. Too many corrupt staff. Someone starts a project that eats massively into the road in my new area. So someone started that at Kwabenya. The assembly comes in to stop the work and writes the usual stop work road thing with all the markings on the wall. The next couple of weeks, the guy comes back to continue. I took a picture, location and the road with the ongoing project and sent to the district engineer. He responded, "Thank you for alerting us. As I speak, the project has gone 3 floors up and moving on giddy giddy." So what happened, and suddenly it's not a road anymore, when obviously everyone can see the thing is standing right in the road. This is Yao from Kwabenya Comet. Della, what are you talking about? Electronic what? Ghana, they will bring you another charge and tell you whatever you paid online is just for registration. The rest is face to face. This is Parker from Community 22.
And they will always find a receipt for you. They will find some receipt. You know carbon paper. They will find a receipt, and the man will do this. And then you open it. And this is carbon
Apply
paper.
saliva to it.
Like, you know carbon paper. When it's finished, you eat your kegari in the office.
Guys, the people at the assemblies are all compromised. They have taken monies. Good morning, CBS.
All of them.
Yeah,
lot
same
of
thing is happening at the K2 South Municipal Assembly. The money you pay to the assembly does not always correspond with the receipt issued to you. The graft at the assembly level is so huge.
Oh.
There's clearly a lack of check system. And he sighs. This is Kobla from Aflao. Good morning.
Your own people.
Telling my people.
Repeat that message. Repeat it. Repeat it.
So, Uncle, good morning, Bernardino. No. Good morning, CBS. Same thing is happening at the K2 South Municipal Assembly. The money you pay to the assembly does not always correspond with the receipts issued to you. The graft at the assembly level is so huge. There's clearly a lack of systems. Cobbler from Aflao.
Bernard,
No, let her finish.
please finish.
Good morning, Bernardino. This
Morning.
assembly permit and money payment issue is everywhere.
How?
It happened to me at the new North Dai District Assembly last year.
They're getting closer to somebody I know.
No, I am South Dai.
Yes, I'm getting you will get your own place.
They took 2,600 for an extension on a 26-year-old building, and the official receipts covered only 1,100 Ghana cedis. This is Alex from Community 25. Good morning, Bernard and team.
Morning.
Please, the 20,000 Ghana cedis and the 4,000 Ghana cedis receipting is, as we say, natural. It is happening all over, so I agree with Sky. The natural persons must be taken out through digitization because, Bernard, as you passionately addressed our software concept, we are far behind in that and it cannot be corrected ASAP. Hence, we must take out the human interaction. That's Ni Allah from La. Good morning from Odumai Ablekuma. The beautifully designed Ramsar site by God has been sold for building. Human beings are buying the wetland, filling it out, and building even in the middle of the Sakina River or Ramsar site.
Oh, Lord.
My fear is that Oduman is a flat, low-lying land, and this site is what is preventing flooding in the community. Who do we have to talk to about this? This is coming from Akofa.
Okay, let's end it here.
I think there's a video that
Charlie,
you should comment
there's a
on.
video
That's
from
Kaswa.
Kaswa where the market has encroached into the road. And to show how deep the encroachment is, the traffic light is now
Part of somebody's
the traffic light is now at the roof of somebody's canopy.
Yes.
Oh. Inside though, so the person's canopy for selling is so close to the Kasua overhead that the traffic light that is supposed to be for people is now inside her shop.
Yes.
I saw it on TikTok. I was flabbergasted.
No,
That
it-
should not happen.
So like the
The
Tapolin has-
MC for that area, just like these ones in Accra are doing, would need to move into that space and sanitize it.
it's serious.